Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video we're going to be looking at and discussing my best VR settings for the Icon A5. This is a new series of videos that I'm experimenting with, which focuses on getting the best performance for specific aircraft. As I've mentioned before in other videos, the VR settings in this sim really do depend on what you're flying and where you're flying. So to get the best out of different aircraft in VR, I do adjust my settings accordingly, and in this video I'll go through them. The intention of the video is to share my best settings with you, and hopefully it'll help you get great performance too. I understand this is quite a debatable topic, but I want to share my settings with you anyway. So again, these are my preferred settings. There's no right or wrong here, it's just personal preference. So here are my VR settings. I just want to make it clear that the rest of my settings are the same as my last video, which you can see in the link above. So please follow those settings to have everything else dialed into what I'm using. So you can see here the render scaling is set to 95. This is slightly higher than I normally have it, mainly due to the fact that the Icon doesn't actually need that much to run it because it's a slightly smaller plane. I've noticed that the smaller and less complicated aircraft seem to run better at higher settings in VR. So 95 gives me a really good balance between good graphics and excellent performance. I've set the anti-aliasing at TAA, which I normally have, so no changes there. I've set the level of terrain detail here to 145. This enables me to have really smooth performance, and I'm getting more detail on the ground. The terrain vector data is set to ultra. The buildings are set to high. This still gives me a high amount of detail and gets rid of any micro stuttering that happens when you're flying through cities. I also have the trees set to high and the grass and bushes set to high. I've set my object's level of detail to 130. I'm still getting good performance with this and things are really clear. Volumetric clouds are set at high. The main reason I do this is because with the Icon I actually fly low altitudes most of the time, and I feel like the details between high and ultra on this setting don't matter so much when you're flying so low. Therefore I keep it on high. But I'm sure a lot of you will want to use the ultra settings for the clouds. I've set the texture resolution to ultra. I always find this helps with the surfaces and gives me that extra realism. I've set the anisotropic filtering at 16 times and the texture supersampling at 8x8. I've set texture synthesis to ultra. That's to help enhance those surfaces even more. The water waves are set to high, which is the highest setting here. I've set the shadow maps at 1536 and the terrain shadows at 1024. These two settings aren't maxed out, however they do give me great performance, so I stick with those numbers. I've set the contact shadows to ultra and the windshield effects to high. I find the windshield effects set to high really important with this plane, just because I'm mostly surrounded by glass and I want to get the most realistic viewpoint I can. I've set the ambient occlusion to off. That buys me a little bit of extra performance. I don't see any major differences with this turned on. I've got the reflection set on high. That's in line with the texture settings because I want to make sure that those reflections and those surfaces are as realistic as they possibly can be. Since Hotfix 2 I've been flying more and more with light shafts and bloom both turned off, just to get rid of any highlights which sometimes happen. And finally I've got the glass cockpit refresh rate set to high, and that's similar to the windshield effects because we're surrounded by glass in this aircraft. I want to make sure everything is as realistic as possible. So those are my VR settings for the Icon A5. They give me both the best performance and the best visuals that I can get using the Reverb G2. I understand that people may disagree with some of my settings, which is fine, and it's all a matter of personal preference, but I hope this helps provide a starting point for you guys to mess around with the settings for this aircraft. I'm really keen to know what you guys think about this kind of content in terms of giving settings for specific aircraft and whether you think that's useful, and also which aircraft do you want to see VR settings for. Anyway guys, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and please don't forget to smash that like button and enjoy the Icon A5. It's one of my favourite aircraft in the game. And as always guys, take care and stay safe.